How's it going? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And today we're going to talk about fake watches. Why or why not it's worth wearing them and what it says about you as a person. Okay? So, this is something that I see all the time, especially here with people coming through the shop. They want us to work on fake timepieces or fake watches, replicas, all this stuff, especially ones that are more high end, which I'm about to show you. And we don't touch anything fake. As a trader, as a collector, as an investor myself, I won't deal with anything that's fake. And in fact, if I ever have a fake watch come through that is attempted to sell to me or something that I was attempting to buy and I identify it as fake, I either confiscate it or I keep it in my wall of shame, as I call it, where I like to study the fakes and see the differences between what's authentic and what's not authentic. But what we're going to talk about specifically here is why someone would wear a fake watch. Like, there's all this justification behind it, and it's actually quite interesting. Some of the points that are being made are seemingly valid, and maybe as someone who's a collector yourself, you have some fake watches in your collection or you don't. Maybe as someone who wants a high-end watch, you're just starting with fake watches so you can fake it until you make it. But I'm going to give you some tips, thoughts, and ideas around why this makes sense or why it doesn't make sense as a watch expert. And hopefully you can provide your perspective down in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. Let me know if you agree or disagree. But this is where I stand. So this is a true story. I had a guy come in who used to work at a very high-end exotic car dealership. And he brought in this Patek Philippe Aquanaut, which I've actually owned the authentic version before. And the first thing that I said when he came in was I smiled and I listened to what he was going to say. And he asked me if I could fix the date wheel on this. And the guys at the watch shop could hear at Bennisson. And I said, this is fixable perhaps, but we don't work on it because it's fake. I hope you know that. And he smiled and he said, yes, I actually know it's fake. And he said, I just like to wear it when I'm traveling or when I'm worried about the piece getting stolen off my wrist. And he said he has other timepieces that are authentic. He then went on to show me another Cartier he was wearing that was a much better version of a fake that was a fake. And the reason you can tell this is fake, just if you don't look at timepieces all the time, is the back is really easy to tell. Patek Philippe's quality of watchmaking is much more high-end than this cheap Chinese movement right here. And then the depth of the case and where the dial sits is too high for this Aquanaut. So this is a very easy to tell fake if you know what you're looking at. But to wear it on your wrist causes this question, and this is the question that's most important for you guys to consider when you're debating whether you're going to wear something fake on your wrist or something authentic like this Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore AP diver. The question is not that you can afford both or if you're doing it for reasons that make sense to you. Because a lot of the reasons that people will share about wearing fake watches are, well, I wear them when I'm traveling. I wear them because I don't want to worry if something gets snatched off my wrist or something, if I get hijacked, robbed, etc., etc. And that seems logical. That seems like it would be something that's smart. But it raises another question, which is if you really care about timepieces and the craftsmanship behind them and how you project yourself in the world, then why would you ever wear anything fake? And the reason that I bring that up, the reason I say that is when I see someone who's wearing a fake watch, even when they have these seemingly really intelligent excuses to do so, it begs the question, where else are these decisions spawning up in your life? Like, where else are you making the decision that, you know what, if no one can tell the difference, it doesn't matter? Or, you know what, I don't really care if it's synthetic or something that doesn't have the craftsmanship, doesn't have the time and quality in it. I want the cheap option. I want the thing that I don't mind if it gets banged up and it gets destroyed. It's like, okay, understood, but why don't you just go for an option then that's something perhaps a little less expensive? Like this Tag Heuer or this Zenith, right? Because a lot of the folks who are hijacking people or stealing timepieces in the world aren't knowing these brands yet, meaning they're going for the things that are obvious. They're starting to, take the Rolexes. Rolex is the number one brand that people recognize and that they would attempt to steal, right? But they're getting more intelligent, so they are looking for things like Patek Philippe. They are looking for things like Audemars Piguet. But they're not necessarily understanding what a Hublot is, or a Zenith is, or a Tag Heuer, or, and I don't really like Tag Heuer, but their new stuff is in-house movements, and it's actually pretty interesting. I actually never wear a Tag Heuer except for this one that I just recently got, which is the Chrono Sprint, which has a patent pending chronograph mechanism in it, which we'll do a review on, and is really hard to find. It's based off of the Porsche 911, and it's an in-house movement, one of their first in-house movements. So they're starting to step up their game now that LVMH has acquired the company. LVMH is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. So these kind of things come into play when making these decisions. So why would you go and spend $500 on a POS fake instead of spending $500 on, let's just say, a Seiko that could potentially hold its value and still be authentic, right? Because with this, you might think you're acting cool. You're spending the same amount of money, but you're losing $500 on this, meaning this isn't worth anything. It's a piece of shit. It's fake, right? But the one that is an actual piece that has the craftsmanship, even if you bought a vintage Omega DeVille, or you bought a really, really, unisex-sized Cellini Rolex, you could get for under $1,000, but it's holding the value. You know what I mean? So you're holding your value in that piece like an asset. You're still getting to travel and being authentic and connecting with people, but now you're not pretending. And you might fool some people who, don't have a lot of money or aren't watch people with this. And they'll go, oh, you know what? That guy must be legit. But the right people who see this will immediately start thinking you're a fraud, or you just pretend, or you don't care. You see what I'm saying? So I always want you to consider that when making these decisions. I'd much rather see someone who's wearing an Omega Speedmaster Pro Moon watch as an authentic watch when they go travel or they're doing something that is a little more risky than wearing a fake anything. Like whether it's Gerard Perregaux behind me, Gégé Lecoute, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Richard Mille. There's a lot of offenders with Richard Mille. I remember some guy at a car show, an exotic car show, said I had to meet this guy because he's wearing an RM and you're a watch guy, Cal. You're going to love meeting him. And in my head, I'm like, all right, let's see. And I go up to the guy, and next thing you know, the person who's introducing us says, this is my watch enthusiast. This is my watch guru, Cal. He wanted to see the watch on your wrist. And the guy tucks his hand behind his back and kind of starts blushing. And I'm thinking, okay, why? And then I look at it and I immediately know it's fake. I didn't call him out on it. But the point is, you don't want to be the guy wearing a fake RM. Like, either buy a real RM or buy something that's less expensive that's real. Something like this. Right? Because there's no shame in the real authentic game. There's only questions around things when you start not carrying yourself wearing authentic pieces. It's just a pattern recognition of what could potentially reflect that in your life, right? If you're authentic wearing a $1,000 watch versus inauthentic wearing a quote-unquote fake $50,000 watch that's really $1,000, I'm looking at both people thinking, well, where's that playing out in their life? The person who's still wearing an authentic $1,000 piece is carrying themselves in a way that reflects those values. So those are my thoughts as a watch expert. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below. Let me hear your defense for wearing fakes. Let me hear your defense for not wearing fakes. I'm always open to assessing this question, but this has been a long time coming. There's a lot of people who think these things are worth it. But again, I'm always going to wear a real piece over a fake piece personally, because I never want to cheapen who I am and have that reflect upon me. I'd much rather wear an authentic Omega swatch, even though I don't like those pieces, than something that's fake, right? All right, like, share, subscribe, guys. We have a lot more cool content coming. We're going to do a lot more deep dives into these amazing timepieces. So I hope to see you there, and we will kind of guide you on this tour of this high-end journey of watchmaking. So see you next time. Take care.